Welcome back, everybody, to Gringos Liberados. We are back in spring. It's episode 2 for Split 2 here. We've had a pretty fascinating week 1, I will say. A lot of things, as we expect change, we expect chaos. Yes, we have merged the regions. Yes, we still have change. Yes, we still have chaos. There are some things that will not change here. And we for anyone who's visually watching, we have the standings to start up here, and they are just some of the fakest standings I have ever seen in terms of performance. Like, it is crazy the order they have been placed in on Wikipedia compared to how they came out of that week in some cases. So we'll get into that in a moment. For now, I'm Trajan, joined by 404 and RMC. Welcome, chaps, back to the podcast. Now, RMC, at least we could start with you for a positive note. You must be happy at least. You're at least happy after week 1.
Oh yeah. For usually when I'm happy, there's still that existential dread that like Pain's eventually going to crap the bed. But after week 1, honestly, it just feels really, really good. Not only did they win both their games, but they look stunning in them. Like they were absolutely dominant in those games. Like, holy crap, this is peak Pain, and I'm loving it.
They were cooking. They were cooking in a humongous way. 404, do you have a reason to be excited about this week? You know, not as a Pain fan, but just generally?
No, but I mean, look, I'm a fan of the region, so I'm happy Pain is looking really, really good against good opposition as well. Like, right now, they are... I think it's not exaggeration to say that they are the best team in the LTA South, because if nothing else, and I don't think I would have said that like as definitively if not for some of the off the rift rumblings for Isurus Estral, which I guess we'll get to at some point. But also just, I don't think the other top teams like Leviatán looking kind of like, FURIA, they're still FURIA, right? They're still a capped team, right? They still, they dropped that game to Leviatán. And Pain, this is what I expected from Pain in week 1, was to come out, or in split 1, I should say, was to come out and dumpster everybody else and remind them, hey, you guys can come in, right? The talent dilution is less so because you've got 6 Brazilian teams, right? And then 2 LATAM. We are still the best team with the best players, right? You could make a case that everyone in their role is top 3. Like, I don't think that's a stretch. And, I'd say 3 out of 5 have a shout for best in their role. Like, again, small sample size, but to RMC's point, it was the way that they won. It's not that they went 2-0. It's that they dumpstered Isurus Estral. They did not let them play the game. And then they beat a Loud team that they always have a hoodoo against. And, like, I'm not quite on the Loud Doomer train yet. It's getting really close. It is pulling up. The Loud train is pulling up to Panic Station, but we're not there quite yet.
I need to get a train cap and a train whistle, man. I'm like the conductor of the Loud Doomer train right now.
I'll join you on that one. I mean, Loud did almost do the meme. They almost did the thing where they upset Pain for literally no reason whatsoever. That game was a long slog, and Pain managed to overcome their own mental block, which they evidently still seem to have in some form, but they're just so good that even that can't stop them being Loud at this point, which is good for Pain fans. And yeah, when Romer came in, looked real good, real solid, slotted right in. Pain seems to know how they want to play around him, and he knows how he wants to play with Pain. So that was like the one question, and they seem to have come in with the answer out the gate. So full marks,
Yeah. Oh, they look awesome. I think. Like,
bro, RMC, do you want to jump in RMC while 404?
Do I want to? No, I'd love to see 404.
You want to let him finish his bite again? Just 404's Mondo bite that he loves to take before answering.
I'm like every episode he's on of GL, he's got to do that at least.
He's got to do one massive bite for sure.
And they will keep coming. It has been a hectic morning for you, boy, and that hectic day is not over yet. So we're multitasking today, fam. I'm sorry. No, but it's good for the region. We have a boogeyman now, and the boogeyman is who we thought the boogeyman was going to be. No, I've got no notes, man. This was I think a wildly positive week, just in general. I think I don't relish in Isurus kind of potentially being on the brink of disaster, because they look bad. They did not look at all like their split 1 selves, and I don't think that is good for the league, because I think the LATAM representation being there, right, is a really good thing, and having a team that is going to challenge you in different ways consistently and kind of go blow for blow there is a really good thing. But if this keeps going the way it's going, man, I don't know. Welcome to the LTA South Kaboom IDL, I guess.
Let's, dude. I don't know. More like Los Grandes or
Corinthians.
Wait, sorry. I was gonna say Corinthians. Yeah, Corinthians are actually low-key look like the only good
We're a
team.
big fan, man.
They look like the actual good team in second team right now.
Well, they just dropped their first game actually against Rats. The first
Still, but
match
like,
against Rats small team. So
yeah. Okay, that's just gonna means that now Luna Day is gonna harass me again for not following enough Div 2 because I made an incorrect claim about Corinthians. She's got out for me. Anyway, so Pain absolutely opened the series, or the split I should say, by absolutely dumping Isurus Estral and then overcoming Loud. Love that for them. So Isurus Estral opened up the week by getting dumpstered by Pain and then getting even harder dumpstered by FURIA. Shortest game so far of that first week was FURIA beating Isurus Estral in 26 minutes. What is going on with Isurus Estral, folks? Is there an individual problem? Have we just all forgotten how to play the game? Like, RMC, why has Isurus Estral gone from first and our living hope taking games off TL to completely hopeless?
well, I think they have five individual problems. That is Birdo, Miru, Snaker, Ackerman.
Oh, jeez.
I hesitate to say Jose Deodo.
Are you gonna say Jose? Are you gonna say Jose's
I'm kind of
problem?
thinking about. I don't know what's going on in this Estral. They literally lost every single lane. Like we can't see Macrod, a team that's losing every single role. Like it's to the point where Jose Deodo can't make a play, and everybody's just losing lane. And it's just like, what is going on, guys? Like, you were the best team, and last split too, they weren't dominating their lanes by any stretch of the imagination, but they weren't like just dying in lanes randomly, you know, like they could still get to the mid game and play. Right now they can't even get there, so I don't know what's going on with that. If all five of you are dying at the same time, I've got to believe it's not sort of an individual issue and more of a team dynamic issue. That said, Miru was injured apparently in the Korean boot camp, so he hurt his finger, so that might be affecting his play in the mid lane. And we all heard the rumors about Birdo potentially getting binned.
Yeah,
and
that's
maybe
kind of
Summit coming back in.
overshadowing the IE rough week one. Instantly bounded into Birdall out, maybe Summit in, maybe Pan in, maybe Kane in. Like, there's just rumors flying everywhere now. And Summit like stopped playing games or something 4 days ago, so everyone's like, he's in transit. And then his agent posted on Twitter or X that he's like, good luck Summit, and didn't say why or where. So
the funniest thing with Summit is that apparently he was playing in a retiree league in China.
Yeah.
And so he apparently got disqualified from that league because he's no longer retired. That's why everybody's like, wait, Summit's coming here, because Summit's got a team now. Nobody knows. We don't have confirmation which team yet. But given that right now it does feel like IE is the one who we know is bidding off a top laner, and no other team's really like announcing something like that, right? So yeah, maybe welcome back Summit.
I just don't want to welcome back Summit, man. I don't. Summit is...
Me neither.
Why?
He's a
He was
poison
good.
chalice. He doesn't help teams win titles. He wins lanes for a bit, and then doesn't. And then nothing happens, and then he's rude to his teammates, and then leaves. Like, I don't
Wait, he's
think...
rude to his teammates? I didn't hear about that.
It was
What
on
did he do?
Team Liquid. He was very heavily dismissive about the rookies on that team after 100% not being the best player on that team at any point. And the rookies, especially Yon, who is now like arguably one of, if not the best player in LTA North, like, my guy just cannot pick them, and I think just comes across like kind of an asshole to me, and I think doesn't actually play that well outside of the laning phase. I think he plays pretty bad outside the laning phase, honestly. And strong laners do not win championships. They literally never ever have. You can deal with strong laners if that's their only thing. Like, so I don't think he's a solution to a problem. I was talking about this in the Discord. He's not a solution. He's a band-aid. And that's not what we should be doing.
Think about the funnies that could happen if he comes back and gets
What
beat
about
by his former teammate
the
CEO,
memes?
loses to Pain again after losing to them at Worlds.
Yeah.
Like, there's potential for some fun here. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, man.
Sorry,
It'll be entertaining as all hell if he comes back, for better or worse.
Yeah, because I want Isurus Estral to be better than that, basically, is what I want.
It'll be better than right now.
I was
never
never excited about the Birdall pickup, and that was one of the main reasons I thought Isurus Estral wouldn't work at all. Now, that wasn't the case. They, as a team, they actually ended up working decently well, or at least better than anyone else in that first split. Now they seem to have just kind of delayed trigger and have now imploded somehow, and we'll see how the next week comes through. But Birdall certainly being the instant rumor, as this guy's just bounced out of there in 1 week. Like, surely that's not stable.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it's not just a Brazilian thing that we just randomly bounce out our Korean players after like 2 bad weeks or 2 bad games.
No, it's just the south of the equator thing, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
So the thing about that as well is I don't think that Isurus Estral is boomed forever. That's my gut feeling, is I think they had an absolutely disastrous week 1. These rumors are not going to help, but I don't think that they have forgotten how to play the game. Their next week's matchups, I think, are way more playable, because I think Pain are very good, if not the best. And I also think FURIA are very good, especially when they have their good games have always been better than anyone else's good games in the region for at least a split before now. Like, when they win the hardest of anyone, and they absolutely steamrolled IE. So I don't think that they're done. I think that if you put them against Fluxo W7M, which is exactly what happens on Saturday this week, we're not going to see the same story. Even though Fluxo is not a washout, and we'll get to that in a moment. But like I said, my core point is I don't think IE is done forever. Like, I still think you can put Birdle into a good matchup in a lane against the worst top laner, and he'll do whatever and be fine, and the rest of the map will work out decently well. I just don't believe that they've actually had such an insane drop-off over 2 weeks.
Do you have that same faith in Internet Explorer over Firefox and Chrome here?
Yeah.
I think they'll still make playoffs. I think they'll probably still be top 4. Because I mean, I guess the one good thing is like, Summit doesn't win you titles, but he has, I don't know if proven consistently, because I didn't really pay attention to how he did on LTA or in LLA, but like they got to Worlds, so like,
well, he won the last split.
I was gonna say he's clearly some sort of stabilizer or floor raiser, and that might be kind of what they're right. Because like I agree with Trajan, he has a band-aid. That's kind of what they need right now. Maybe they change out top laners again in split 2 or in split 3, I should say. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. But you need something to get you over the hump here because something clearly is not working. And again, don't want to see Jose Deodo go out like this. He's too big a player. He's LATAM's greatest superstar essentially. I just don't see them floundering out like this. I feel like if this Summit signing is happening, it wouldn't happen kind of without the approval of Jose Deodo, at least. Because I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into stuff, but I don't know. I think they'll be fine, but I fear we might have seen the last of their kind of great heights. I don't think they're going to reach the same heights with Summit. They might, but like it won't be against like Pain. Let's say, right? It won't be against like the truly elite teams in the region.
We're putting a splint on like a grazed elbow. We've had a bad week 1, and we're throwing everything at, we're doing big changes. We're dropping players. We're importing retired guys. Like I think it was worse. I think it must have been worse. I think there must have been something unsalvageable. Yeah. Right? Like, because to your point, Trajan, after just a bad week 1, why would you do this? Why would you go through all this trouble? Yeah. Right? So I guess there must be something that they feel is unsalvageable. And again, I get them having like this increased sense of urgency. Because again, they're up for relegation. Yeah. Right? They could be booted. Yeah. They can't just if this is Leviatán and Zothvi, is just a traffic cone. Okay, maybe you develop him a little bit. Who cares? You're not going to lose your spot. Yeah, that's true.
Right? So there is more urgency with these guys.
But counterpoint, your relegation is until split 3. So, yeah, like I don't know if you want a band-aid now versus like hire mercenary in split 3 when you actually have to like play against relegations. Yeah, and I'm with 4 on this. I think there's more going on behind the scenes. Like even at our worst, right? The 12, 13 man Renska roster, like we didn't just swap people out after first week for no reason. Like. To drop an import player like that, like after 1 week, is just. I mean, like
bonkers. I don't know how long Trick lasted, but it was like 3-4 weeks as opposed to 1 week, or you count Birdle split 1. Games, it's not even that different, right?
2 weeks,
right? And if
Trick might have been 1 week, dude.
And maybe it's just like, well, he just doesn't like it here. He's not happy, and we're not playing well, so before we invest 2 splits in this, why don't you just toddle off and we'll get someone else kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe it's the same idea, but I don't think it was good for Lost, and I don't think it's good here, and like it makes me worried, but I don't think it makes me worried enough that they're now useless. I think that even just the 4 players with whatever top laner they fight could still be really good. So we'll see what IE can do next week in what I envision to be at least a somewhat of an easier week, but we'll see about that. Why don't we talk a little bit about Fluxo, which we kind of mentioned a little bit there, who lost to VKS, who lost to Leviatán, but that doesn't tell the whole story, does it? Certainly a lot more coming out of Fluxo W7M, especially in the Leviatán game, than everyone would have expected. That one was a stone cold, LTA South banger.
Yep.
And the Academy roster is looking pretty playable in this split so far, I will say. RMC, how playable do you think this is? Are we actually going to change our expectations for them significantly? Or is it really just like, instead of going like 2-16, they're going to go like 5-13 and come last? You know what I mean?
Okay, this might sound really weird for me, but I actually feel like Fluxo W7M kind of performed the way I expected them to. Like, the Pain Gaming Academy core knows how to play when they're winning. So if they get that early lead, they know how to kind of snowball from there and actually try and close out a game. I say that despite the fact they couldn't close out against Leviatán, but that's a whole different discussion about Leviatán. Fluxo W7M, though, I think if you give them a lead, they know how to play through that. The big problem is getting the lead in laning. So I actually think they could potentially pick up a win against Isurus Estral, the way Isurus Estral is currently playing. And if Loud screws up their laning phase against them, Fluxo W7M might pick up some wins here and there. So I don't think they'll go winless this split, but I don't think they're going to make playoffs still. I still think they've got a lot of fundamental issues they still need to get through. Ganks, I don't think is necessarily a miracle worker for them. I don't think Ganks is that much above Drake Hero necessarily. I think other factors were at play in this first week that got them as close as they were to winning again.
Mm-hmm. I think he's just a guy. I think he made at least one or two very, very rookie mistakes, but that's what rookies do most of the time, is they make rookie mistakes. That's fine. That's okay. But yeah, I think the rest of it looked a lot more cohesive. That was cool. Fu is still fooing. That's very nice.
Yeah.
Fu's absolutely just nice with it. So yeah, it's just nice to see, right? It's nice to see they're keeping the games competitive. Game Split 1 was obscenely depressing for them, I think, and I'm glad that it's not as depressing this time. So it's not going to be like a Kaboom 1-17 or 2-16, whatever. It's not going to be like a Liberty no wins, no hope experience, like we're going to get something out of these guys before this play is on for sure.
I just hope it's not a Los, like, they should have won at least one game situation.
Dude, that was just comedy. It's like, it was just statistically like impossible almost for them to find ways to lose all those games. Don't remind me. They're doing alright in tier 2 now, I guess. That's fine. But man, that was a crazy split for them. So does anyone else have anything else specific on Fluxo other than kind of tentative thumbs up, guys? Or,
progressing in the right direction. Mm-hmm. And like, again, and you've got, you know that you have, like, Fu is still Fu, Hedon is still Hedon, right? Marvin and Giggs will get there, right? I mean, the team fight that lost them that game against Leviatán was just a Mondo tragedy. Like, I don't know why Marvin and Giggs were where they were. Like, and again, okay, you were in a brush, you were kind of far away, the fight hadn't started yet, you had to kind of, pick your moment to walk up.
Yeah.
But you have no vision there. And you have to track the other top laner's TP. Zothby came in there, somersaulted his Jace, and just flattened him in one go. Like that sort of awareness, right? You like to think that kind of stuff will come with time, because like I've casted a lot of League of Legends in my career. I don't think I've seen that exact play maybe once or twice, right? Where like you just have like this insane like TP where like you were caught just like completely unaware, right? Or at least top teams don't make those mistakes, and that feels like something that is easily fixable. You know what I mean? So, like, again, Leviatán, they're a good team. They might not be what we thought they were going to be, again, through Split 1 or through 1 week, but they're a solid team with good players. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that like it doesn't seem like Fluxo W7M they're going to be like the punching bag again. So I'm very, very happy for them. I want to see, who do they have this coming week? They've got IE and FURIA.
So we'll see. We'll see how they do. Yeah. And yeah, I
they
mean,
might get a win against IE. I'm actually not going to count them for that one.
With the way things are going, man.
Yeah, and like
that would be insane.
I'll never stop talking about how good Furia's good games look, but it's not to say it's a team that does not have bad games still. They still manage to just trip over their own feet occasionally, and like if Fluxo's there, then it seems like they're ready to catch a throw if there's one being offered at this point. So yeah, we'll see what we can get out of Fluxo next week. Leviatán, which we have teed up a little bit as suspicious. Currently, for anyone who can see the graphic on the screen, the first place, top of the table, Leviatán, 2-0. Our best team, yes? Yes, right? Who's with me?
They are first alphabetically out of L, E, and V.
Exactly.
So, yeah, they are
Big.
top of the table.
What? That was...
Franz has ended the regular season first place before, but he's never won an entire split. So first for now, I'll give them that.
So they took the win against FURIA in a very back and forth, messy late game. You know, some tosses back and forth were had by all, but a pretty rough around the edges game from FURIA, and then Leviatán, I think, were just ready to, like I say, just they have players with their heads on their shoulders where they're like, this is an opportunity for me to do something, I'm going to take it, kind of thing. So they got that win versus FURIA, and then they got the win versus Fluxo, again, in a very, very long, throws everywhere, like, eventually the promoted academy team plus Fu just kind of cracked, and I think either went for a crazy gamble that didn't pay off, or just kind of lost their sense of the map in that moment at the 50-minute mark. You know, who among us has not done that? So do we actually think, in the same way that for IE, how worried are we for Leviatán after this week? Is this a bad week? Do we think that, again, that they have new problems, old problems? Like, what is... They've not announced that there's not rumors that they're dropping anyone, which is a positive comparatively, but RMC, are we still... Do we think
I'm
they're
not worried for people who pick
now,
Leviatán for their LTA fantasies, man. They won their games, but the stats were kind of bad. I don't know. They remind me a little bit of old CLG, where like you spin the wheel of CLG, and you know who knows what the
who shows up today. Yay!
Yeah, it's really weird too, because they're the team who, after the first week, I actually have the least grasp on. Like I don't understand what their strong points are. I don't know what their weak points are necessarily. Like on one hand, it's like I look at this roster and it's like, you've got Cody, best mid LTA South, you know, you've got SeeEl, who's kind of up there right now, who's performing well. You've got Pro Delta, you know, and Scary, two of the most proactive, you know, upcoming talents in Brazil. And then you're somehow just crapping over yourselves in that game. Then you've got Zothby, who we thought was going to be a traffic cone, but actually ends up being like one of the best players.
Good, yeah.
It's like, what's going on here? I don't understand what's happening. Like, they're just defying expectations in the weirdest possible ways. And then they drag the games out to the point where it's like, okay, you're talking about Fluxo W7M really catching a mistake. Leviatán is like the catcher of the league right now. You throw, they will catch every single time. So it's kind of just like, it's really weird. I'm looking at them kind of going like, I don't know what to expect from y'all, because on one hand, you shouldn't be able to match teams like Pain Gaming, like Keyd Stars when they're playing properly. But on the other hand, like we've seen Pain, Keyd throw games before, and I feel like if Leviatán can hold out long enough, they might actually just be able to win a game through catching mistakes.
They used to be the really good early game, one of the really good early game teams.
Yeah,
and then
it was IE who was catching mistakes.
Yeah, and IE
were
doing the loud thing and like just outlasting inexperienced teams. And Leviatán were the inexperienced team that couldn't quite, or felt like the inexperienced team that had good plans, but then kind of lost grasp of it in the clutch moments at times. But now we've just gone the opposite way, and now they're just like flopping about, looking pretty rough until 35 minutes, and then they're like suddenly ready to lock in. Like, what is happening, man? I don't get it. Like, we've just take lane swaps out, and everyone's brain is turned upside down, as well as the map being put the right way around. It's very weird. But I also can't get a good read on them. I again also don't think that they're washed and done.
No, not at all.
I think that being able to win and clutch out late games is a very important skill that, if anything, only the better teams tend to be able to navigate a difficult late game, with the exception of Loud. But I, generally speaking, like getting into an even state at 35-40 minutes and coming out on top, that is where you see like the overdogs just come out on top way more times than they don't, right? And the early games can go either way. It's pretty easy to lose an early game off a single misjudged grub fight or a bad vision call or whatever. So I still have hope and still kind of think that they're good. I'm kind of just discounting week one mostly, and like I just don't think this is real. Basically, is kind of where I'm at
I just
on
need more
week
tape.
one.
Yeah.
For do you think week one's real for Leviatán or?
I mean, I kind of think it is real, but it's like I don't know. For me, this didn't like. Maybe I had a slightly different read on Leviatán than you guys, but like this didn't feel like anything surprising to Leviatán. Honestly, like it for me it was like I'm still in a holding pattern for Leviatán. Like again, they've proven that they can. You know, I think they will be like a bit of a heat check team, right? Or like you must be this tall to ride. Like they will be kind of playoff gatekeepers, right? They're not gonna like just straight up lose games. They're not gonna play like because I didn't see anything like bad, like overtly. I saw mistakes, but like I didn't see like they played poorly. It's like no, they're like. They're an okay team that are still figuring themselves out, but like if you screw something up, even FURIA, right? Who we're continuing to glaze, when they screw up, right? Leviatán caught it, right? And I mean, FURIA, hold on, why am I forgetting who the hell else they beat? They beat
Fluxo.
Yeah, Fluxo, right? Like
Fluxo, but that was like a Mondo overperformance looking kind of game for Fluxo, right?
No, I mean,
like a big step up
it was, but they still had to win a team fight down 5,000 gold.
They did,
right? Like, and again, like. Fluxo didn't have good positioning and all that, right? Fluxo are not a very good team. They're fine, but like they're not a very good team. Leviatán are a solid team. For me, it didn't really change my expectations of them. I think it is real, but they came against two they came against a good team and a bad team, and they beat both of them. And neither one really kind of convinced me super hard one way or the other. That's kind of how I felt about them in Split 1, or I guess like I didn't have a strong opinion formed about them because it was Split 1, and also because look, and again, like I didn't put too much stake into that FlyQuest series. But they got rocked.
They did.
By FlyQuest. They got absolutely destroyed. Yep. Every other team put up some sort of fight. Even Loud didn't look hopeless at times against Cloud9.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, they couldn't. No, at times.
They looked better than Leviatán did. They looked better than Leviatán did.
Let's take the lane swap out because that was a game warping single terrible decision. You can't read anything else into that game. And again, from the deficit that they were at, Loud played okay. All things considered,
that was a jungle gap.
Like,
that was a jungle gap
sure,
series.
Okay,
that was
sure.
a big jungle gap
series. Loud had a terrible. Loud had a terrible lane swap, but in the other game, like they were okay, right? Like I don't know, like I don't know. I mean, what do they got next week? They got Red and Loud.
So that's the thing. Again, very winnable.
I can see them going like 1-1.
Super messy teams, right?
Like, yeah, exactly. And again, like I don't think Leviatán are. I don't call them a messy team. I would call them an inconsistent team. Maybe like not a super joined up team just yet. I think they have a lot of good individual pieces. They have a lot of good individual ideas. They're well coached. I think it's just going to take time for them, right? I think they go. They're going to go 1-1 this week. I think they'll beat Loud and they'll lose to Red. But I think both games will be close. Right? I think that's our 3-4-5 clump right there. Right?
Ended
Loud,
up putting
Red,
them basically slap bang in the middle of the tier list when we did the tier list. So
that's
kind of
exactly
accurate, right? Like
I think they're an okay team.
Yeah, for me, when we were doing that, I was internally trying to be like, I don't drag them down too much because of the FlyQuest series. Don't undersell them to yourself because of the FlyQuest series. And coming into this one, because I had this feeling of like, I feel like they're going to be worse and somehow look worse, though I didn't really have a good reason for thinking that. Now, I think they do look a little worse, but again, I don't think it's decision-making material yet for them. So
and also I think they might not look like that much worse, but I think for me, to bounce off that, I think the rest of the league just got better.
True. Yeah, definitely.
Teams like
Yeah,
Pain, for example, right? That was like the big...
No, Pain got leagues better, but Pain returned to like who we thought they would be, right? Yep. Loud, I don't know, right? Red, okay, they're going to need some time to gel, right? But like, FURIA look better.
BKS look a lot better.
Yeah, BKS look a lot better. They look a lot better. We got to talk about them.
Yeah.
And then Fluxo had a 5,000 gold lead until literally the last 45 seconds of the game. Like Fluxo aren't a dumpster fire anymore.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see how Leviatán can do against the Brazilian spiritual Brazilian upholding Red and Loud, and see if they can punish that messiness, because they don't look perfect, that's for sure. But before we talk about them, let's do VKS. Also 2-0 up there, joint first. Very much an improvement from Split 1. That was, we wanted to see if the vision would have progressed, and I would think it's fair to say it has. They beat Fluxo pretty handily, though Fluxo was not completely dead in the water. That was the first kind of indication there that maybe Fluxo isn't completely without their heads, because it was quite a slow game. I think for both VKS's games felt very slow. They felt like they were not super active. They were waiting for their opponents to make things happen before they did stuff. And whether that is a condition of their draft or a condition of just the way they approach the game, it did not feel as... Because VKS also felt like a team that could be very, like, they get a small lead and they will just, like, run you over with the lead, at least in the previous iteration.
Well, I think the second game they had, the one against Red, was much faster.
Yeah, but I mean, Margot was just like solo 1v9 diving every single opportunity you could get. So how can you go slowly when the Akali is just sending it at your face? Perma.
Ask FURIA that question, because they somehow slowed games down last year, which they shouldn't have been able to.
Yeah.
I still remember what they had the latest First Blood, I think, was it 2024 or 2023?
Something like that.
The way they slowed down. Yeah, I mean, okay, so this is why when we did the tier list, I had Keyd where I did, was because I know they crapped out Split 1, but I just cannot discount SeeEl. And what I absolutely love as well was who actually stepped up this week for them. Kissy in game 1 and Morteus in game 2. Yeah, Morteus was like the big question mark piece for me, because he was super hyped up by SeeEl, right? Like SeeEl found, you bring Smalley in and you tell Smalley, hey, you're just a placeholder. You know that. Like, I've got a Brazilian talent I want to bring up, right? And I was watching Morteus in VKS Academy, and he's good. But Marvin beat him, you know? Like, Skuro was matching him. And finally, we get to see why SeeEl was so hyped on this guy. I really want to see more Kaisa from Morteus, because I do think on that champion specifically, the things he can do looks really, really good. And I don't think Morteus Trimby looks that good together. I think they actually look better separate.
Like as a laning duo, not as...
in laning, in team fights, like just in general. Like, like Trimby roaming while Morteus just holds lane is fine. In team fights as well, like Trimby engaging and Morteus going somewhere else in the fight.
Well, like
that's fine.
The Sayo Pro Delta dynamic, where Pro Delta just kind of dips pretty early, and then Sayo holds them 1v2s really well. That's what we saw in Split 1, right? So like Sayo doing really good.
Trimby's got good strategic understanding of the game. So I think, Sayo's is a really good apt comparison about that. You know, where he doesn't have to sit there and babysit his AD carry, like Morteus' hands. And I think having Trimby try and babysit Morteus actually ends up limiting Morteus in what he can and wants to do. So, I really hope that we get to see more of these sort of independent AD carries from Morteus. Less the Varus, more of the Kaisa, maybe Tristana, Ezreal, that sort of thing.
Kissy did an honest to God Ari carry, even going Rod of Ages, Riftmaker.
Love that. We love that.
They've invented an even more boring Ari build somehow. They did it. They were cooking all off season. They made a more boring Ari build, and it worked really well. He was like just doing all the damage they needed. He's really sustainable. Like, it's really safe. It's even safer than normal for those reasons. So like Kissy was the big one for me, I think, just because I think Morteus kind of we knew that this was foretold for so long. Like, no, for sure this guy has it, right? We just need to get it out of him. For sure it's coming, guys. It's coming. And then it arrived, and I was like, okay, cool. We've got Morteus is starting to arrive.
I've heard that promise way too many times.
For me,
Kissy, stock still delivers.
Kissy, I didn't hear as much about. It was just like, this is a really competent player that we've brought in from OS or whatever, and like, this guy's going to slot in, he's going to be solid. But I kind of like, I had more time for him because I didn't know enough about him, but it felt like, is this like a grand 5-year plan player, or is this just like whoever was good on the market kind of thing? But this was a really good game and good week for Kissy for sure. Dasamus is still Dasamus, and Bol didn't get into trouble. So yeah, man, cool. Like,
okay, wait. Speaking of Bol, I think they need to do this more. Give him carries. They give him Aatrox and Gwen, and Bol looks significantly better on carries than on any sort of utility top line. Like, his Cassante is like, you know.
Yeah, I don't
keep
like
giving him give him the Aatrox, man. Like, I know it's not super meta right now, but it's still A tier.
Like, I like those flanks you did on the Aatrox. They were very good. They were very good, exciting flanks where you like so a lot of living on 1 HP and then he's full HP, kind of the Aatrox standard Sundered Sky meme, which was cool. So yeah, I mean, he seems to know how to operate in the backline with the tools in this week at least. So that was pretty good.
And it seems like the triple carry composition, like they basically went that both games.
Yep.
Right? Because they had it was Aatrox, Gwen, Ari, Yone in game 2. Right? I mean, it was fine. It was fine, right? Like, that wasn't the Kissy show. That was the Morteus show. That all worked out, right? But to your point, like, I think that is a very exciting, like that is something that you can do nowadays, and you've done it against okay opposition. I'm curious whether they, how they manage that.
Post break, post cut, no one saw anything. So moving on from Keyd, I think we should talk about Red, because I think Red is another one where I'm not really sure what to make of them.
Same.
I think from game 1, because game 1 and game 2, I think had very different approaches. From at least their mid laner, from Mago, sure. He played Talia in game 1 and just played, the most bang average median Talia game of all time, which is fine. And Bronze carried, which is kind of what I thought Red were going to do. Is Bronze was going to carry, they were going to play around him, and I was like, cool, that works. They beat Loud pretty conclusively, actually. I was like, wow, nice. And then game 2, they come up against VKS. Margot locks in a Kali and goes a little bit insane and really tries to cook in this game and burns himself on the stove multiple times. So
the line between brilliance and insanity is very, very thin.
And he is a sine wave over that line. So what do we think about Red? Because we ended up putting them on the averaged out kind of B tier, was Red, then Loud, then Keyd, I think, was where we kind of landed. So Red, still definitely not consistent enough to be considered a top contender again yet, right? And this was with Doom in the jungle as well. So 4i4, how did you take Doom and Margot's first week, I guess? As a rookie mid-jungle duo subbed in for Red, what's your takeaway for them?
Yeah, again, I think it was about what I expected. I think the first game told us probably more about Loud than about Red. Right, Nefiri's very good. And if my memory serves, RMC, tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe this is just the games that I caught. But Doom, he has carries in him, right? Like that is kind of like more so than most. Or am I thinking of someone else?
Back when he was on Red Academy, he plays mostly like supportive picks.
Okay, never mind.
But it was meta, right? So it's kind of hard to like. He had like the occasional Karthus. That was the weird pick that we were like, oh yeah, Karthus when he played it, but. Besides that, it was mostly just like support, which was or like utility, not say support. Sejuani, Maokai, Ivor, and what's the other tank one? I can't remember. Like just whatever was meta at the moment.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess it was about what I expected, right? Keyd are a very well coached team that they've been working with this roster for a while, right? They don't have to this Red almost reminded me of Split 1 Keyd in some ways, where it just looked kind of disparate. Right, it's like it just didn't seem like they were all kind of rowing in the same direction. I think the thing that I forget who I was on. I think it was I don't know if it was TDS or Rev that I was on with for that game. I think it was Rev. But the Doom being 0-0-0 on the Vi 12 minutes in, while Desamus was in there just like chucking out glacial prisons at every opportunity. Right, that kind of that didn't work. You can't do that on Vi. You can't be 0-0-0 12 minutes in on Vi. You got to be making something happen, right? I just feel like they kind of got behind and didn't really know how to kind of come back from that, except for Mago being like, give me the ball, I'm going to go score a goal, except it wasn't like good, kind of team play interlinking and him making like an overlapping run as a midfielder comes onto the ball. It was like the striker going back into like the defensive third, getting the ball because he doesn't trust his teammates and trying to dribble through 8 players.
Yeah, he was trying to pull a message, but he wasn't.
Yes. No, exactly. No, he was trying to play hero ball, and I don't think it worked. So I think they've got to figure out what more, what their identity is. But what excites me about Red is that, again, you've got 2 splits to kind of figure this out. You've got a guy in FNB that can do a little bit of everything. Right, Brunsey and Frosty, they'll be fine, kind of forever and ever, always. Amen. Will be kind of top 3, 4. Right, they'll be fine. I think the options that Red have are going to be is very, very exciting. Right, but but then a part of me is like, you had that with Aegis and Grevthar. You had options, right? Like you couldn't really deny that. You had a few different ways that you could, in theory, play. But I guess the biggest difference is Mago and Grevthar, because Grevthar, he was always happy to facilitate. Mago, I think Talia might be the most facilitatory we see him get, just based on what little I've seen or know about him. But I mean, I don't know. Again, it didn't really change my opinions on it. I feel it's sort of like Loud or Lev rather, where like, these are 2 kind of, high octane players. They've proven that they have a nice ceiling. They have, you got a couple different ways you could play. I think they'll make playoffs. They will put a scare into some teams. And they're going to play, and Doom and Mago, they're playing fearlessly. I'll give them that, right? Because you'd always rather have to rein a player in than to push them to just like do stuff they're not comfortable with. Now, you could argue that you have to push Doom in that Vi game to do something before 13 minutes. So maybe that was a bad example, but I think you guys get what I'm getting at. I'm excited to see these two develop because I think these two players really have a lot of potential.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I fully agree. I think the first game, I'm at the point now where I feel like Loud's the best team that a rookie can play against when they come in, right? I'm thinking like Loleko came in, beat Tinones, like overhyped massively. Doom now plays against this Loud, goes 6-0-7 on the FURIA. He's like, oh, Doom's the answer. Aegis was the problem. And then they played against Keyd Stars, and I think that's what happened to Doom against Keyd Stars is more representative of what I expect from Doom. Pretty much. Like I don't expect he's going to 6-0-7 on Nefaria against most other teams in this league either.
I mean, even in a Fury game, he's 6-0-7, but he was not 3-0-2 out of lane. You know what I mean? He was like 0-0 and
it took him a while to get going.
Like,
he stat padded towards the end.
Yeah, I Doom seems to be over this week was very inactive in the laning phase, which for Red often used to not really matter too much because Grefly wouldn't be in lane anyway. Brunsey and Frosty are really good.
I mean, Aegis is probably power farming on Lilia anyways, right?
Yeah, and the side lanes are just really exceptional laners anyway, so it didn't really matter. But Doom, I think, was particularly, it didn't really feel like he was doing anything in the early stages particularly, and then kind of got going or tried to get going later. And I don't, if you're not Aegis, I don't know if that's what Red could use, especially with Margot, if he wants to play Akali and play aggressive. Like, I don't know.
If you're not Aegis, but you're doing Aegis things, why don't we just use Aegis?
Has anyone heard of Aegis, this guy that we've got on the bench that we could maybe run for this? Who is also an exceptional Sejuani player and could just play Sejuani and
actually
gang mid.
His vibe's not bad either. I just think that, look, for Red, I discount the first game against Loud. I think that one is fake. Completely, absolutely fake. Like, I don't look at those stats whatsoever. I think the second game against Keyd Stars tells us a lot more. I do think Doom and Mago are about where I was expecting them to be, pretty much. So it kind of is what it is. I'm a little bit more concerned for Brunsey, honestly, actually. I do feel like he was kind of forcing himself a little bit to try and make plays happen on that team. He's feeling like he needs to be the big carry. And I think Brunsey needs to chill a little bit, especially if we're going to pick things like Ezreal. Like, don't be arcane shifting forward, Like,
yeah, you're not Titan, bro. You can't do it like him.
Even when Titan does it, I clench up a lot, right? Like when he does
he always lives. He always gets away with it.
On the Ezreal, he does. On the Tristana, he does.
No. But yeah, I agree. And I think because it's weird because Brunsey was already in that position, but now it feels like visually it seems to be... He seems to be more aware of it, whereas before it was still very much the case, but he was sort of naturally in that role. So... yeah, hopefully he can like get back to, because he is a win condition character. He's a win condition player. He's maybe one of, if not the biggest 1v9er in terms of how his team plays around him and the kind of games like and the record that he has. He's exceptional at that, and he just needs to let himself do it. Just don't overdo it, as you say. Don't force the issue. Like, you're already cracked. Just let it happen, man. So, and Frosty, for what it's worth, I think has had a really good start. And like in that first game against Loud, I think he got mega robbed for MVP. I think Brunson got MVP for 7-1-9, but Frosty got mega robbed for MVP. It's hard enough to give it to supports these days, but like that rail game was phenomenal. Loved it from him. I thought it was so good.
Yeah, okay, to be fair, I kind of see it though. Like, Brunsey set up, Brunsey was 7-1-9, but he got robbed of a lot of kills by Doom towards the end of the game. Because he'd get the whole poke down, then Doom goes in diving, because Neferi
he probably should have been double digits.
Untargetable. Yeah, so I kind of get why Frosty didn't get it, but that's why I always hate it when there are two, like, incredible players, and then one, you only can pick one MVP, right? Yeah. It's like the other one kind of deserves it.
The rel flank where he gets behind them in the jungle, he just walks into their jungle and ends up behind three members, like completely invisible on rel with the sickest like blind magnet storm out of fog.
Yeah,
that was big, man. So yeah, we'll see what Red can do. The rookies definitely need time to develop. We'll see how long they want to stick with Doom, if they want to give him some more time. I hope they do, because I think that's just a better way to approach this at this point. Next week they have Leviatán and Pain. pretty tough week, I will say. Leviatán, who knows? Maybe Leviatán
Red
are
Lev
actually
is
bad.
going to be a banger.
That's gonna be fun.
That is going to be such a scrappy game. I'm out of town completely. I won't be able to watch any of the games this week. I have to watch them after the fact.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited to watch that one back.
Yeah, and then Red Pain is probably going to be a bit rough for Red, I will say. But here's hoping, right? Who knows? To be honest, I think Red. When's the last time they actually like beat Pain, like properly beat Pain? Because like they can. Red have been able to do.
Recently.
Red have been able to do it to Loud for a long time, but I can't like bring to mind a time when they looked and felt like a better team than Pain, like at any point. Because that was always the stem of my confusion, was why do they look better than Loud, who are the champions, but look worse than Pain, who can never beat Loud? That was like the confusion for me of like the rock, paper, scissors aspect.
Loud lost split in regular season.
Yeah, they knocked Loud out of the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken, in Loud's like championship.
Loud or Pain?
Pain. Like, why is Red... When's the last time Red was better than Pain? Like, or beat them, or looked consistently better than them?
They beat Pain. They beat Pain in individual games. So they did that definitely last split or 2024 split too. Pardon me.
They went on that crazy win streak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 game win streak to end the year. And so they beat everybody in that round robin except for Keyd. And then they 3-0'd Fluxo, and then they got beat by Keyd.
Yeah. And then if we're talking about if we're talking about the last time they looked better than Pain as a whole, probably 2022 split 1 when they actually won it all.
Actually might have been since they were champs, yeah. It feels like they do not have a handle on Pain well as a team in terms to beat them. I don't know what it is, but that's like, given that like these incredibly ephemeral reasons for believing teams are better than others holds up weirdly often in CBLOL, that's a good enough reason for me to be
Let's put it this way. The last time they beat Pain, or they looked better than Pain, was when they had Titan.
Oh, there you go.
They don't have Titan.
Well, just Titan diff. Well, when Titan goes, Titan wins, I suppose.
True.
So, who have we not talked about yet? Anybody? Loud? We haven't talked about Loud yet.
And
but
FURIA.
We haven't really talked about Loud, yeah.
And FURIA. Okay, we'll save FURIA for last because they're fun. Loud, Loud look bad, man. Loud look like a bad team, except for Robo, who looked incredibly elo held today or last weekend. He was actually playing some of the best games I've ever seen from him. And the rest of the team just kind of in the bin, man. What's happening?
Well, no, Tinol's looked good in game 2 on his year. Yeah, I thought he actually made more action happen than... Like, if not for him, that game would have been a lot worse.
That's good, yeah.
Tinon's had the revenge buff against Pain, like the Judas buff. He just...
Yeah, he was good. That's fair. I guess let's focus in a little bit more on the newest members of Loud, Shinny and Redbird. Why are we doing this, folks?
Shinny literally encapsulated, I feel like, Loud in game 1 against Red Candidates when he engaged and the team like completed full up with him, and they zoomed on his camera and he's like throwing up his hands like,
dude,
what are you guys doing?
If that's not the Shinny 2024 experience,
where is my team? Literally, where are they? I can't see them.
And it was actually a good engage too from Shinny, and I was just like, the rest of the team literally did not respond to him. Like, nobody even moved towards him. I'm like, what is going on? Did he not call for the? Did he not like comms that I'm engaging? Yeah. Like, what happened here? And he watched his reaction. It's like, no way. He must have called for the engage, and literally no one responded to him. Like, I don't know what on earth. Like,
you got speakered, man. You got speakered big time in that game.
True.
So
you actually get a 4-man sleep on Vi.
Yeah, and Robo was like solo killing Wiser low key, which we don't see often. In side lanes, like Tinons, as you rightly say, did have a good second game, did have an incredibly sleeper Rise game in game 1, which is unfortunate, but you know, it just, where's the magic? Where's the Loud magic? You know, it just feels like, unless they're against Pain, they just
they made a deal with the devil, and their contract ran out. So
it's, I don't know. It was a very unsettling week 1 for me for Loud. It was very like, this does not look good, guys. This does not look good at all. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I called it last week. I already said on the podcast that, like, look, I think it's a Robo Tinons issue. They aren't working with whoever jungler and supports they have, and I think that's a big issue. Even in second game, even though it looked much better against Pain, it still felt like Shinny was being put on a leash. Like, he wasn't engaging the way he wanted to. He had to wait for like Tinons to always be in position to kind of do that, and it makes Tinons look a lot better. But I feel like you're really crippling Shinny here, right? Like that man has really good engage sense. Listen to him.
Yeah, give him a chance. So we'll see if they do. Next week they have Leviatán and VKS. VKS, I'm expecting, will probably give them the business, given what we saw from week 1. And Leviatán, again, could just be a complete crazy banger, which we'll all be there for. So
the OG post 30 minutes against the new post 30 minute.
Yeah, we'll live in hope, I guess, for Loud. But I'm ready for this iteration to just move on. So we'll see if they can pull something else out of the bag, and if they can get on the same page, because they do not seem to be on the same page right now. Now FURIA gave us some good content. Lose both the LATAM teams with their opponents, lost to Leviatán, beat Isurus Estral. Very conclusive game against Isurus Estral. Bit of a messy one versus Leviatán, it's fair to say. 4x4. Yeah, they for sure should. 4x4. So for FURIA, you mentioned, I don't know if we were rolling at that point yet, but you still feel like they're a capped team. Can you expand on that a little bit, given what we've seen? Because there is still an argument for that for sure, but what makes you say that, given what we're looking at now?
I think I need to see more just like front to back clean games from them. I think I need to see them hit all 3 phases of the game more consistently. They did it against the Isurus Estral, but even then, if you're being a hoper, then you say, great, right? That was like probably their best win of this iteration.
One of their best wins this year, right?
If you can front to back dominate a team that good, right? Or if you're a doomer, you say, well, IE clearly weren't working in week 1. That one doesn't count. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle, because I do think Isurus Estral looked uncharacteristically awful in week 1. But I just need to see more from them, because I think this team makes a lot of sense. Tatu has been a freaking revelation. He is absolutely awesome. He's going to be in the league for a long time. Tuts is playing just consistently well. They've got. I think Gigo's going to be kind of just the missing piece, right? He's going to be kind of the anchor of, if he's more consistent, I think the team as a whole should be more consistent.
We had a real Gigon dynamic this weekend for sure.
Yeah.
Again, that is a big thing to ask, because the volleyball game was a disaster, but the Camille game was very good. And I'm glad that it was very good, because I forget who else I was on with, either Rev or TDS for that game, and I was like, I think actually with Rev, and I was like, no. Trust, like when we started this thing, Gigo on Camille was as close to an auto win as you were going to get. He was so good on this champion, and then he actually was monstrous on that champion. He was very good.
Yeah.
So I just need to see it more consistently, right? Because like Gigo has won. I guess we've got. Actually, I was about to do that. We haven't seen that many titles from this team, but actually we've got a combined 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 titles.
Yep.
On this team. 2 for JoJo, 2 for Gigo, 1 for Tuts. So yeah, no, I just need to see more consistently. Again, I think that they've always been more than the sum of their parts, and I think that's a great way to win League of Legends games. I think that's a great way to win the neutrals, right? Just to be like, oh no, this is a good macro team. This is the neutrals' favorite team. They've been our kind of pet team for a long time. Think Card is our GOAT coming over from North America. But no, I just need to see them do it more often. That's it. I believe in this team's upward trajectory, but I haven't seen like a 2 or 3 week stretch where the performance and the results are both like all rowing in the same direction. It's always something with FURIA.
It's always something with you guys. I think for me, so we saw FURIA Leviatán, which was a very interesting game, as we'd expected. FURIA 7,000 gold up and managed to lose, which is not what we expect from FURIA, right? We expect them to win with a lead. We expect FURIA to win with a lead, and that's normally what they do, which they didn't do here. So that's very interesting. New most interesting game for FURIA is VKS, in my opinion, is the next interesting matchup, because VKS actually look good now. I wouldn't have said that before week 1, because VKS looked dog in split 1, but now the Pain is the top team probably in our minds right now, given that IE has crashed down to earth and Pain look absolutely godlike. So now right behind them is like VKS, maybe Leviatán, maybe FURIA, maybe IE if they wake up next week. You know, like there's a lot contending now, I think, to join Pain. Presumably in the projected finals if this form continues. So who's it going to be? If it's not just going to be IE, then is this the time FURIA gets a chance to do it? Is this VKS once again upping the timeline and getting there before summer, right? Like, I think there's a lot of good questions, and I want to see how they play against each other now. But I think what you said for is definitely true, that FURIA still managed to absolutely bottle it at times. They are still very, very wide in their performance variation.
They need to play. They need to play a complete game. So we come on here every single week and say, like, you know,
a complete weekend. They need a complete weekend.
Like, this happened really well, but they couldn't close it out. Or like, they closed it out, but it was kind of rocky. Or like, they were up 7,000 gold, but like they were non-existent in lane, and Leviatán somehow managed. Because at the end of the day, it's a results-based business, right? And the results haven't been as consistent for FURIA, right? The underlying numbers are very good, high XG, etc.
Yeah.
But we need a more complete game from them more consistently. They can go to what I don't have a doubt about is that on any given day, FURIA can beat any team in this league.
Yeah, for sure.
I can say that about 2, maybe 3 teams in this league, that on their day they can beat anyone, and it wouldn't surprise me, right? But they didn't make top 4 last time. Yes, they had a brutal run, and they took everyone to 3 games, right? But again, it's I'm doing it. I'm doing the thing that I said I don't like, is that there's all these asterisks about FURIA.
Yeah. I mean, and I think the caveat there is that they're the team that you don't expect to win it all, but can beat any team on any given day, right? Like all the other teams, we would kind of say who can beat any other team at their best are teams that are top contenders, like Pain, like Isurus Estral, if they can get their act together, sort of deal, you know? But FURIA, like, none of us are thinking they're going to win it all, because that requires a level of consistency that we've not seen. But we do think they can take anybody. And for me, at least when I look at week 1, their macro still stands out to me. They look like the best macro team still.
For sure.
Yeah, did they lose to Leviatán? Yeah. Was it off macro? No. It was off a single it was mistakes, basically.
Yeah, it was like team fire errors.
But their mid game was super clean. Even with Gigo with the turbo sprint build, was still, you know, having a
literal turbo sprint build.
The good thing about that build
movement speed.
is I you know, in the NLC region we have Baus in our series, and he plays Volibear and he does the same thing, and like that's the good thing about Volibear is it doesn't matter if you're 0-7, he still kind of does that if you play him right.
Gigo plays sound as well. That's all I'm saying. But you know, against Isurus Estral, it's the fastest match of the split, right? 26 minutes. Because their macro is clean. They know how to do, like, when they're winning, they know what to do. When they're even, they know what to do. Even when they're behind, they know what to do. And so to me, FURIA still best macro team, still the team to beat. The big thing is just more decision making in the clutch. We've seen a lot of that from Leviatán. We're not seeing that from FURIA just yet, and I'm a little bit afraid of that because they've got hands, no doubt. But I think clutch is not something you can learn or you can teach. You either have it or you don't. And as good as much as I think Tatu is an amazing player, as good as I think Ayu is in terms of mechanics, as good as I think Jojo's decision making is, the only player on that team who really feels clutch to me is Gigo. And when it's Gigon / Skigod with the highest variance, you're trusting him to clutch. That's like old school Red, when like you're betting on whether Titan's diving in is going to work out or not. Sort of deal, you know?
For sure. You can accrue like clutch factor over time with experience and with the right kind of environments and stuff, but I don't think a coach can just come in and teach you how to be a clutch, right? You can't just kind of learn it like you learn a matchup.
No.
It comes comes naturally with gift and talent, or over a long career. I think being able to like. Because that's a mental game at that point, I think, is that kind of clutch performance is really a mental game. And we saw FURIA in those Loud series last year, where they lost in 5 games. Both times. They did not have the clutch to win. They did not have the consistency to beat a less consistent team than them, arguably, which is Loud. So, like, they're still at hump to go over for them. So we'll see if they can do it. Right. That's the week 1 review for teams. Let's quickly talk a little bit about fantasy as the new hotness. I've put our league top 5 on the screen right here. Currently top by Lunar Day, my most dedicated hater.
Top 5.
404 making it top 5 right there as well.
Yes, sir.
Dark Knight second, Fulminante third.
Don't worry. She's my most dedicated hater too.
She's our for sure our most dedicated hater, big time. And it's quite good because it's kind of some of our most, like, our oldest, most active community members that have topped this chart. It proves that if you watch and pay attention and watch our show all the time, it makes you good at fantasy. So
apparently better than us.
We don't know the causation link exactly, but the correlation is 100% undeniable.
If you want to win a Spirit Blossom,
and arguably, if you are a bigger hater, all it does is make you better, because Lunar Day, let's take a look at the standings here. She destroyed everybody. This was not even close.
She hates legendarily and performs legendarily in the fantasy league.
And it was an absolute fisting in week 1. 138. She won by 22 points.
So she's
That's 1.5. That's 1.5 times the margin
Yeah.
from second to fifth.
Hey guys, do we want to ruin this whole fantasy that we're building about Luna right now?
Well,
Why?
I know that
She has LTA North
used
players.
LTA North team players, so she is.
I mean, look, still,
a betrayer and a fake fan is kind of it, really.
Even if so, winning by 22 is still crazy.
True, and you know what? Her highest performing player was an LTA South player, so
Yeah.
There you go.
it's Morteus.
I'm willing to give it up. Yeah, you know, and you know what? If you bet on Morteus after split 1, and he's your highest performer, hats off.
Fair enough.
Hats
All
off.
You deserve it.
Yeah,
Yep.
you got
Hats
there
off.
before the market
That's
did.
faith.
That's for sure. Like turning 50 net worth into 138 points can't knock it. I personally got screwed by Jose Diodo in a big way. He got
that's a
1
tough
point.
one.
But next week I have doubled down, and you'll have to, hear me out on this one. My team for next week is 2 Leviatán players and 3 Isurus Estral players.
Holy shit.
So
Trin, you understand in LTA Fantasy, it's not like golf, right? You're not trying to get the lowest possible score.
Listen, all right. I am picking a mission statement for next week, and I have to commit to it, because I think my problem this week was I was splitting it over too many teams that ended up playing against each other. I did not structure my team properly in that regard. But this time, they're not playing against each other. And I think they are now heavily undervalued because they had a pretty bad week 1, and I think that it was a bit fake, as we've said. So that's my thesis.
I can get behind Leviatán, but that one's a little bit.
I have
off.
Miri, Birdall. I took Birdall, by the way. We're 7 cost for Birdall after week 1. Maybe one of the cheapest players in the entire system, and kept Jose.
So you didn't buy the dip. You just wrote out the dip.
I bought the dip on Birdall. I'm riding the dip on Jose because I bought when he was 16. He was like one of the most costly junglers, but I thought he'd actually be a good value costly player. You have to pick like one costly player potentially, and that was the one I picked. But yeah, that's and then I kept Zothvi, who actually didn't do too bad at all for me, considering, and then brought in.
Wait, how do you have Birdall and Zoth?
Yeah, wait, what?
So wait, no, did I leave Birdall, or did I drop Zothvi? Maybe I did it to him. No, sorry, I didn't keep Leviatán players. I kept Isurus Estral players, and I kept Ayu and Jojo in bot lane because they were good for me. That's what I did.
Okay,
I kept Furia's
that
Ayu
makes
and
more
Jojo, and then I Isurus Estralified my top side because I had Zothvi last time, and he was good.
You have some really bold choices considering Furia's going up against Pain.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm sticking
Ayu
with him.
Jojo's going up against Titan Curry.
I'm sticking with him. Yeah.
Bold choice.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Yeah, I got dumps. I got screwed in week 1 by Snaker, who went negative 1.48 on Saturday. He had a negative score.
Sheesh.
And then the other one who screwed me was Surdy from the north side, because unfortunately I locked in before we started this fantasy league, so I didn't know about that. I've changed
It's
now
all
to
right.
all
You
LTA
only
South.
lost
So
out for
this
doing
this
so,
week, this week I have become a Warriors fan. I'm going with the entirety of VKS except for mid lane, because Kissy went beyond my budget. I had him in week 1. He was actually
Kissy after week 1 probably got real expensive.
Do you slam Romer or Shirley?
I stand Romer, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot.
To be fair, I actually think Fu's the better pickup in terms of score. But
I think Romer's more likely to be fed gold in pain games than Romer.
well, that and also like
might be.
I felt like I should have at least one pain player in my
Yeah,
team. I had
otherwise
Curry in week 1, so
you
I was
would have
like,
been
okay.
disowned by the fan base probably for that.
Pretty much. Yes, I was like, okay, I need a pain player.
I feel
Romer
like
fits my budget. We go with him.
The only choices I think in week 1 were Marco or Romer for mid, because they were so underpriced and so unknown, and both on good teams, especially Romer, that like you had to just take one of them, and you're almost certainly going to get upside on that. And then Romer got massive upside, and Marco was like slightly below average because he had one good game, one bad game. So like, yeah, I think there's, in terms of cost value for money, considering Cody was 90, like the most expensive LTA South player by a margin of 3 or something, like 3 points was Cody.
I thought Brunsey was out there too, wasn't he? Wasn't he like 19?
He was the most valuable AD carry, but Cody was more expensive, I think.
Okay.
And like, he's now gone down by like 4 points because like that was just a crazy overvaluation, I think. But so we'll see how this week goes. Again, very different matchups, and like I say, we'll see how fake week 1 was, because that will affect certainly my big bets whether they work out.
Yep.
We have a question from Lunar Day as usual as well to quickly address before we take a quick squiz at next week. Luna Day asks, if you didn't know LTA Fantasy is being run by a 3-person team, shout out to those individuals, absolutely well worth it. In your opinion, who is the most impressive 3-man team outside the fantasy in LTA South this week? So presumably just 3-person combination. I imagine from players, possibly even from coaches, if you want to include that somehow.
I have an answer for that.
What's your answer for that, RMC?
Easy clap. The GL podcast. 3 people.
Oh, big.
There it is.
Oh, look at that. Huge. You negated the hater energy from Luna Day by bringing.
He shoots, he scores. Next question.
Next question. Actually, yeah. I might just keep it. I'm gonna keep with that. No worries.
Yeah, I mean, it's just weird to like pick 3 men on like a league thing, right? Usually it's gonna be like what, top jungle mid, I guess, because if you're going 3-man, that's usually the 3-man unit plus the bot lane's usually a bit separate. But yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like there's any 3-man unit in particular that I feel was really strong in week 1.
You could maybe say Robo Tenno's Root because they were not running it down on Loud.
I was gonna say, unironically, give me Romer, Morteus, Robo. Big bright spots. Had really good weeks.
Just you don't need support staff. Romer, just lanes.
No. Romer slotted in very cleanly. Morteus had a bit of a coming out party in week 1. Yeah.
You don't and share Robo XP with any losers. You don't do any damage. So like, yeah, man, easy 3v5 it. No worries. I don't know if I would for like overperforming players in terms of points like Morteus. I don't know if I'd be comfortable taking them out of their crib yet, you know, taking them out of the support system to kind of isolate them. But Robo, I think you can for sure. You can just put him wherever and he'll do the same thing regardless of what's going on around him. Doesn't matter. Okay, let's take a look at week 2 because we are running not super long, but I'll be honest, guys, I'm really hungry. So let's look at the schedule for next week. So what matches are poking out for everybody as the ones they are most fascinated by? Does anyone have an immediate answer?
Pain Furia.
Furia.
Mm-hmm.
Good
I was
choice.
gonna say Red Lev, Pain Furia, like even Lev Loud VKS IE because I mean all the matches this team you could like make an argument for because we got so many teams that like I feel like we said similar things like with Red, with Lev, even with Loud and with Furia to a lesser degree, Keyd on a brighter note. We got a lot of teams that we're just like I don't actually know what this team is. We just need more data.
Yeah. So
I think this is gonna be a fascinating week. But I think Red Lev and Pain Furia really stand out for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think. If there's if Fluxo beats IE, that's pretty exciting. Going into this,
alarm bells, baby! Then actually just fire off the panic klaxons. That is going to be, oh my goodness.
Momentum-wise, that looks highly possible going into this. Obviously, like I said, I don't necessarily think it's going to happen, but if it looks like there is a higher chance than we'd expect of that being able to happen, which would be big for Fluxo to get their first win in 2025 against the defending Split 1 champions, which would be pretty funny. And yeah, Pain Furia, of course, is going to be very exciting. Maybe Loud VKS. To be honest, Day 1. I think Day 1's just going to slap. Day 2.
Day 1 has a lot of questions for sure.
Day 2 has some interesting stuff as well. Like Lev Loud could be good, and VKS IE might be okay, depending on how well IE actually does this week. But I think Red Pain will probably just be Pain rolling over. I think Furia will roll over Fluxo. And like, there's a high chance that Lev could just completely dismantle Loud, and the VKS could be like a blue side W. I don't know. So I think Day 1 really is going to be fascinating, and will tell us if Day 2 is going to be interesting or not, depending on how Day 1 goes. Any final thoughts, RMC, before we wrap it up?
Do we want to talk about fantasy pick for the week, like our player? For LTA Fantasy?
Your monetary choice, your recommendation for all the eager fantasy drafters out there. What's your...
Yeah. I mean, I know Lunar asked like what our fantasy pick of the week would be.
Yeah.
So. And we can probably either choose like who you think would have the highest point or highest like value vis-a-vis their cost, I guess. For me, I'm probably looking at Keyd Stars. I think they've got potentially the highest potential upside. Their cheapest players right now are Bull and Trimby at 8.8. So I'd say one of those two For me, probably I'm leaning towards Chimpy. I think Chimpy underperformed week 1, and that dropped his value.
Yeah,
Which makes him
Bowl has to play against Robo, which is not easy for anybody to do, and then Birdle.
Especially not 2025 Robo, man.
Yeah.
He is.
Wait, yeah.
He is.
Actually, Chimpy's value went up. Never mind, it didn't go down.
Yeah.
So he went up to 8.8.
It
He
will
was
have
like
gone up for sure.
5 before that.
It will have gone up.
Damn. Okay. Yeah, but I think with Morteus like being with the way Keyd Stars are playing right now, I expect to see Morteus get fed again, and Chimpy as his dual lane partner will probably benefit. So.
I think SeeEl might be a good pickup here because Leviatán didn't have a banger week 1. Well, they 2-0'd, but like I think that there's a chance that SeeEl
front CNC and
Root
though.
I don't think Root had a particularly good, and his support is also running it down. So like I think and SeeEl's very good.
Sure. Ripper is running.
SeeEl I think has proven himself against those teams, the strong duos already. Like he's proven himself against Titan and Curry already. So like I'm happy with SeeEl as an AD carry who is not Brunsey, not Titan, not even Ayu now I think is worth more. Might be worth more than him. I'm not sure if he is, but like Ayu's going up in value now already, and I think SeeEl is really good.
Yeah, Ayu is worth more than him right now.
And
there's 12.1. Ayu's 12.
And given how Leviatán's games went last week, he could get a chance to get a lot of kills against Red and Loud in these if these games just go crazy. So
okay.
404. Any gut telling you?
I mean, I think the Keyd boys.
Keyd boys.
Definitely. Like if you miss the train on Morteus, he went up 5 points. He went up $5 this week. Like, so if you miss the boat there, do not pick up Morteus just because you're not getting value for money.
Yeah.
Not because he's not a good player. He could be good, right? Maybe you wait another dip. Tuts at only $8 feels low. Just again, he's a consistent mid laner on a good team. Maybe it's just like because the raw counting stats won't be there, right? He's not going to be the one that has like a 10-1 insano game. Like, but just comparing like to other mid lane prices, like he's lower than Miru. Like,
I picked up Miru as well.
As Mago.
Yeah.
Like
Miru's still injured, guys.
Yeah. And again, Kissy went up 5 points.
Yeah, 5.2 is Morteus and Kissy. They're the highest moves this week.
That's
absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. It's tough. I feel like the market has caught up to a lot of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to buy the dip on, if you really believe in Loud, this might be your best chance to get on them, right? If you want to attach your flag to that boat, be my guest. I only have
who on Loud do you think is the one worth attaching to?
Wait, how priced was Robo going into this? Because he's the player I think actually looks good. Like, was he fairly priced or nah? Because
Robo went down because he was at like 12, now he's at 11. Root for only 11. There are a lot more expensive AD carries out there.
That's such a shame. Because like this is a guy who should be earning way more points than that. I just don't think he has a team that can enable him to do it as easily anymore. Like I think he's
And I'm just looking at his opponents too, right? It's Keyd Stars and Love.
Yeah. It's like with Tuts, like I think this is a tough week for him specifically because against Romer, who looks really good, and Fu, who is like the best part of Fluxo, right? So even if I expect FURIA to pretty handily win that game, and maybe there's a chance they could even beat Pain if they have a really good game, I just don't think it's going to happen through Tuts necessarily. I mean, it could do, but I think I'm waiting for an easier week for Tuts potentially because he's probably going to hang around where he is. So like, I don't think he's going to get much higher. And then once he has a really good week coming up, you can swap him in and then get some make some net gains, then invest in maybe one of these pricier guys if they're still consistent. All right. With that, let's wrap it up. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Follow us on Twitter /X/whatever at LTA South. Follow us on Twitch at LTA South, and please consider watching us and possibly even following and possibly even subscribing at the weekend and Saturday and Sunday, where we'll be streaming at the same time, same place. We also have the community Discord where we talk about the fantasy, we talk about the leagues, talk about roster moves, we talk about how cringe LTA North fans are. It's all going down in there, guys. It's all very good. It's all very good content. So feel free to join us in there, and you can watch Luna Day kind of verbally harass us all day. So thank you, everybody. We will see you this weekend and on the next episode. Peace.